What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Bill, and in today's video we are continuing working with the fiberglass from Advanced Fiberglass Concepts. We got the front done. It's all in place. We still need to do some final touches on that, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the back done. So if you have the fender flares, take those off. I have the fender flare deletes, so I've taken those off. And then on this side, I went ahead and I took this top bar off. That was part of the best stop. So I took that off to get that out of my way. It's just 4 bolts, the same bolts that you would use if you had the hard top. Obviously, if you had a hard top, you'd have to take the hard top off. If you had the soft top, I don't know if you would be able to just lift it up and clear everything, or if there's stuff that you would have to take off. Now that those are off, we could start taking the stuff off. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. Like, if you have the hard top, it's a different piece here. If you have the soft top, it's a different piece, and this is a piece for the best top. Just because it's resting on that corner, I just want to get it out of the way. So let's pull that off first. But it looks like we would have been okay without having to take that off. I know there's a 10 millimeter here. I want to say there's one under, yeah, there we go. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 along the top. And then there's also some things along the back. So to take this piece and this piece off on the back, we just have to undo these fasteners. Same type of fasteners that are in the wheel well to take the liner out. You just gotta very cautiously back them out and hope they're going to behave. And if they do, then you can pull it out. Alright, now that these are all out, we can go ahead and take this bottom piece here off. Tool, just get that up under here. Then pull this out. And then that pops off. Now this piece doesn't pop off by itself. It's got a 10 millimeter bolt there that we got to disconnect first. Now that will come out, and that snaps out. There'll be these two 10 millimeters here on the bottom that we'll have to take out. And we got these 3 across the top. I said we had 2 up here. And I think that's all we need for this. If there's anything else connected back here. Aha, there it is. There's one more piece back there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this whole thing off here. Alright, so yeah, now we can see there is one more piece here. Seems like there's still something under there. So alright, so I had to move the blind spot monitor out of the way. Now we are disconnected from everything except for the filler hose, and you see if we start pulling, it just kind of goes in. This is a rubber boot, and it should pull out from over top, from over under that. Should just be able to pull it right off of there. There we go. And there we go. There we go, all done. Now, so the same thing with the front. We're gonna have to drill out the holes. The 3 here, 2 in the front, these 2 back here, and then these for the for this bracket, because we're gonna have to reinstall this as well. because this is what's going to be needed to put this back piece on and everything. So yeah, and from a quick glance, I think it looks good once we put this other door piece on. Alright, so two things we need from this fender before we're done with it. One is the gas tank cover, or you see it just kind of pushes in, and just pop this out now. There we go. So we gotta take this out of here, and then we gotta take this clip right here out of there as well. Should be able to just squeeze that and push it through. Alright, so pull that out. Pull that out. Those are going to have to transfer over to here. So that clip needs to go in there, so we need to cut that square out for sure. Drill these out. And I have to cut this out along the inside there. Then drill the other holes and go from there. Yeah, a little bracket piece that we took out of the OEM fender. We put that in there. I'm gonna cut that still. Everything else is drilled out. But while I got the saw, we also have to modify this bracket. It's just going to come a line straight down. Alright, so we trimmed this piece off here. We've got this all cut out. Now the reason we moved this clip over here, this is going to snap into place, and we're going to go ahead and use the bolt that we took off of there. It's a 10mm. Screw that back in there. Actually, one thing to do before we do that, do have to drill one more thing. Yeah, the end piece is going to sit like so on that end cap. So double check. Alright. So yeah, that piece is going to set like so. And this will stick on that piece here with just some adhesive. But one thing we can do to make sure that that lines up better is we can drill a pilot hole through here and here. Alright, so now we can put a nutsert in here, or now we can put a nutsert in here and then put a screw through there to just make sure that everything fits nice and tight together. So there we are, we got this in there. Open the door. I'm gonna get these tightened. I'm gonna wipe everything down, and we can start doing the extra pieces and putting everything back together. Alright, so I got the wrap taken off of this piece here. Went ahead, got the tail light put back together. And this should just snap in like it used to. And then this front part should just snap in there, but I need both my hands. You see the cutouts there, and they kind of just flow with the cutouts that are on that piece and then go up. So it's going to fit like so. Now before we do, we got to scuff up the bottom of this so the tape will stick, because this is really very dry and powdery. Any tape that goes on that is just not going to stick. And then again, we have our bolt hole here. And then I'm going to put a M6 nutsert there. That way, once we put that in, we can put a screw down through that and hold that in just in case this glue 3M tape never decides it doesn't want to stick for whatever reason. And it'll stick to the paint with no problem, but it's not going to stick to that, so we'll scuff that up. Alright, so wipe this down several times with alcohol, sand it this backside down. Then I realized I didn't need to sand this backside down because there's nothing for that part to adhere to, but just did around the edges and then this lip here. So fun part, peeling the backing off of this stuff. Alright, finally got the backings off, and I want to do one more step. It's pretty cold out here this morning. I have a bad, things don't tend to stick when it's too cold, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure this panel is nice and warm. And make sure the glue's nice and warm. Don't want it hot, but I'd like to make sure that it's actually going to be sticky. So now I reach back behind here, try to get that nut through, or the screw through, and I'm just using the same ones I'm using for the front fender liners. That shouldn't go anywhere. So now I got to move on to the door. Before I could put the door piece on, I have to go ahead and pull that wrap off next. Alright, so I got everything cleaned up. I got the tape down on the back side of here, and I went ahead, when putting this panel on, I used a paint stick to measure the gap, so just went ahead and put that in there as well. I want to go ahead, heat this panel up real quick. Alright, we want to make sure we're lined up with the paint stick. Alright. So it looks like this is sticking out a bit, like the thickness of the tape, pretty much. So I may have to sand that, so I don't know how much we can sand that though. Might be able to pull this out a little bit, but it seems the top lined up pretty well. Let me put a clamp on this right here because it seems like maybe that isn't sticking. Get a couple of clamps to put on here. There we go. I'll let those clamps sit on there for a few minutes. Probably go back through, hit this with heat one more time just to make sure it's nice and sticky and that those clamps are sticking. Let it cool down, and then hopefully when we take the clamps off, everything staying in place. Alright, while I'm letting that cool down and sit, I'm going to go ahead and start taking the other side apart, getting that ready to go. But overall, I expected the rears to be more difficult to do than the front. I was actually wrong. The rears are pretty simple. just in the fact that there's not a whole lot to it as far as getting it to fit. Like the fitment is, it's, you know, there's less area to cover, I guess. The front's got a bit more. You can bow it and bend it and tweak it a bit to get everything lined up, where the back just, it is what it is. So I think it looks good. We'll get the other side done, and then we'll check back in on this.